Too close for podcast. But you knew that already because you clicked on this. And if you didn't, that's pretty awesome that you're managing to just stumble upon this in another way than clicking on it. Episode 308 of Too Close for Comfort we're discussing today, which is the 8th episode of Season 3. It first aired November 18th, 1982, called Monroe's Secret, Love's Secret.
Wow. All right, so this week we have Henry working in his office or in his bedroom when Monroe shows up looking for advice about women. Also, Monroe throws his helmet out the window. Motorcycle helmet, that is.
So we're getting things left and right out the gate in this episode. I'm having to check off not only Monroe's motorcycle, but objects out the window, all within the first 30 seconds. You know it's going to be a good one. Not to even mention the El Camino drive-by, which started the show off, but I digress. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Monroe tells Henry that he's in love with a girl named Pat, who is a friend of Jackie's. And apparently they both work at Balaban's. So there you're checking out Balaban's too, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden you got Balaban's right there.
I mean, I almost got bingo already at this point.
Right? If you're playing along at home, you might have bingo too. Except, the problem is the girl wants nothing to do with Monroe, which apparently is a big problem. Henry says Monroe should just keep pursuing this girl and not give up, because that's how he hooked up with Muriel. So next, we're in the kitchen. Muriel is cooking a duck. She's making dinner, and everyone is very excited about this.
Yeah, the duck is almost the subplot.
Just then, Jackie shows up, and she smells the duck. Now she wants some duck. And then she tells Henry that Pat is downstairs in the apartment, and she's very upset because Monroe has been apparently stalking her, hanging out in front of her apartment for every time she gets off work, sending her all kinds of gifts and whatnot. A lot of unwanted attention, and it's creeping her out. Henry says he will talk to Pat. Henry's pretty worried he's not going to get to eat this duck, but he agrees to go downstairs. Downstairs in the girl's apartment, we discover that Pat is a man. It's a man, baby. Say it, Marty. You should turn that off.
Command performance.
It's a man, baby.
It's a man, baby. It's a man, baby. And other outdated Austin Powers references that it's been almost 20 years since I've done, so I can't do it anymore. If I practiced.
Henry knocks on the door, and Pat quickly puts his wig back on. And then Henry has a long talk with Pat about Monroe being a real, really annoying, and agrees to talk to Monroe about it. And it seems like Henry is getting kind of turned on by Pat, doesn't it?
For a second there, yeah. In this exceedingly long Act 1. Another, 15-minute Act 1? Or am I wrong about that?
I don't know. I think I might have skipped right by Act 1.
I think we're still in Act 1.
Yeah, we are. Okay. Pat gives Henry a hug, and when they break the hug, the wig comes off. Henry gets very upset.
And that's the end of Act 1. That awkward freeze frame.
Right? That's right. That's Act 1. You are correct, sir. Now, Henry is very upset and demands an explanation from Pat, who we learn is Patrick, and he's stolen his name from his sister so he can work at Balaban's with Jackie. Nothing to do with Jackie at all, this whole episode, except she knows Jackie.
Yeah, they never have a scene together.
Well, they do, I think. Don't they? No, you're right. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves, I think.
And on a side note, we never ever see Balabans.
I think we did in that first episode, that first time they went to Balaban's, didn't we? See like some furniture or something. But they don't sell furniture. I thought there's a fashion place. Yeah, you might be right.
I mean, we saw the bank like once, but that was her old job. And we see Balaban himself, but never the store, much like that extra room. Or any extra room in the downstairs apartment for that matter.
Right? We can tell there's a kitchen through there because there's a swinging door. Swinging. No, Jackie comes down the stairs.
Oh yeah, she's banging on the door, that's right, yeah.
Right? Henry's very upset. But then he begs Henry not to tell anyone. And Henry's still pretty upset, and I think he agrees. So then Jackie shows up at the door, but she doesn't have her keys. And Henry's trying to get the wig and the shoes back on. It's crazy. But then Sarah shows up, and she has her keys. So they open the door, and boom, Henry and Patrick are splayed out across the couch.
That's right. The new couch, which apparently was paid for by those baby pictures.
Right? That got exposed. So they must have redone the whole thing. I mean, because how much could film cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not paying for the film, they're paying for the photographer. So Jackie's worried that Monroe is going to come around and harass Pat and offers to let Pat spend the night in the apartment. And that freaks Henry out. But he agrees to it, apparently. And next thing we know, he's upstairs listening through the floor, trying to see what's going on, which is a callback to, I don't know which episode. Do you remember?
Yeah, it's definitely the earlier ones.
Might have been episode 1. So Henry can't sleep. He tries to call Monroe to settle this whole thing. Can't get a hold of Monroe, so he wakes up Jackie, and finally Muriel convinces Henry to go back to sleep. Anyway, that's Act 2. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're taking it home now. The next morning, Monroe rings the doorbell, comes in, and he has an engagement ring for Pat. So Henry, in a roundabout way, tells Monroe that Pat likes girls, and that really shocks Monroe, which is surprising, right? And Monroe feels really sad and decides to exchange the ring for an accordion. Done. Act 3.
Watching it again, I think somebody saw Tootsie too many times and wrote this episode because it's got shades of that when you get the whole Pat's backstory of the only way I could get the job was to pretend to be a woman, blah blah. But
Is that the premise of Tootsie?
something along those lines.
It's been a long
Yeah, it
time
has
since
been a
I've
while.
seen Tootsie.
In that wig. I mean, I didn't want to get started on the wig already. I was saving it towards the end of my notes, but I feel like we've seen that wig on the show before.
Like that's just a set item that they had around,
And it's just getting rattier and rattier. Wow.
right?
This is where season 3 starts to get really ridiculous. And, stick with us because it's going to be a fun, bumpy ride. The couch. You know, as you were going through the episode, I really started to think about the couch and the production number. Now, last week's episode, Who Was That Baby I Saw You With? Was production number 304, which is 5 episodes before this one. Did we see the girl's apartment in any of those episodes? 2 of which we haven't even seen yet because they haven't shown them in that order. The great mystery of season 3. Do we see the old couch again? Because episodes that were filmed out of order? I don't know. Nor do I have the time to sit down and watch all the episodes in the production order, but I think I will have to do that at some point and see if that continuity is really there. Because there was certainly a new couch tonight, and this is the first time I've noticed the new couch, but like you were saying on a past episode, you weren't sure if we've even seen the girl's apartment
This
season.
Right? But they had a whole episode about getting that couch.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry mentioned, you have a new couch. You can sleep on this.
So, Who Was That Baby I Saw You With? Was the one where they get the money to buy a new couch. Episode 304, production number.
Seems like yesterday.
Production number 305, A Snip in Time, vasectomy episode. Do we see the girl's couch in that one? I don't think we do, right? Doesn't ring a bell. But, you know, I just thought that Jackie didn't have a scene with Pat, and I just watched that episode, so. And then after that is To Buy or Not to Buy. We haven't seen that one yet, because they've pushed that one towards the end of the season. Then after that is The Luck of the Iris, chickenpox episode. I don't think we see the girl's apartment in that episode either, right?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Because
And then the episode after that, A Portrait of Henry, the one about the creepy portrait of Henry. We haven't seen that because that got bumped way till the end of the season, which brings us all the way back to today's episode, which may be the first appearance of that couch.
Oh, it definitely is, because they just said you have the new couch.
That's true, but
But
did we see the new couch on the portrait episode or To Buy or Not to Buy? Remains
No.
to be seen because we haven't watched those yet. So I guess if we remember,
if
be on the lookout for the couch.
right, this is something.
It's crazy. The weird depths you can go into. Anyways, no
Let's get back to the duck.
Yeah, that was a duck. No April, of course, but no Iris. But we did have a small duck. Guest star was Pat.
No last name. I didn't catch the credits. Did you?
No, and if I did, maybe it just said Pat. Should have been on the lookout for that. Oh well. Cosmic Cal. Henry was hanging drawings as the episode began. See, that was yet another thing I had to write down there in the beginning.
It was Fast and Furious there for a minute.
Henry's sweaters. This is a 2-sweater episode. Morris Brown College and Rutgers. Monroe was wearing stripes right off the bat. Who was notably absent? Well, I already said Iris. Who else wasn't there?
The baby.
Andrew, yeah, no
mention.
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
Objects out the window. That helmet went right out the window. Go get it, Monroe.
Yeah.
Right out the beginning.
You know, so many things have fallen out the window. They know exactly where that thing is going to be later on,
You know,
right?
one-sided phone conversations. There was the Henry to Monroe attempt, and then there was the mind-blowing Henry to Jackie / Muriel to Jackie one-sided phone conversation that
was
went
pretty
on
good.
really long. Oh, yeah. Total shades of Hello, Lester from episode 208, you know.
Yeah, Jackie did answer the phone very quickly. But
And he's just talking before that they could get their response in, and it's good stuff.
Where was Monroe shopping in the middle of the night for wedding rings, engagement rings?
I think Monroe was on dial-up. He was a early internet adopter, and that's why the phone was busy.
Maybe.
My weird theory. Henry pointed 8 times. That's not a record breaker, but that's right up there. But yet I didn't see any stammers. The grocery bag props have gone back into oblivion, but don't worry, I'm sure they'll make a return. The show started with the El Camino drive-by, so you automatically knew it's going to be a good one. Well, when is it a bad one? Well, occasionally there are a few that I'm not so hot on. Monroe's motorcycle? Yep. Monroe had the helmet, momentarily anyways. Balabins? Yep. Works with Pat at Balabins. Muriel's photography and singing take a back seat this week. No appearance or mention of Andrew. This is the first time not being on since his first appearance back in 301/302. No couch flip, although we did have some couch activity with the new couch. It would have been a nice touch had he flipped over the new couch as well. But maybe that happens in one of these other episodes. Probably not, though. That would just be too perfect. Transvestite storyline. Well, the plot line to the episode, once again, cross-dressing back in full force on Too Close for Comfort, and not one mention of Rafkin, who used to live downstairs. It's not the first transvestite to be in the girl's apartment. Just saying. Hashtag just saying. Intro variants. Monroe in the chair, nothing else. Classic intro. A little bit of disheveled Henry hair there. That was probably when he was trying to listen downstairs, right?
Henry threatened to harm 2 people. He threatened Pat and Monroe. Like, he threatened Monroe in the very first scene, right there in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And then he threatened Pat downstairs once he found out he was a man.
Yep. Plastic surgery. Well, there was the sex change joke. I guess that counts. Scale of 1 to 5. I have to give this one a 3 because that terrible wig.
And the wig really...
The wig brought it down a notch for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one should have been a solid 4, but somebody should have went out and got another wig. Wow, they really didn't have a lot of money on this show. Bizarre odd happenings, quite a bit. We had gratuitous E.T. reference, because it is 1982 still. Pat, before Saturday Night Live. A mention of New Year's Eve 1986. Are they reusing Brad's old wig?
They might be. Some research we gotta do.
Gratuitous Conan the Barbarian reference. Well, that one came out in 81, so still very fresh at the time. And perhaps the strangest part of the episode of all. Can you guess what I'm headed to with this? No scene with Monroe and Pat together.
Ah. That's weird. But she didn't, yeah.
Not so much a very special episode, more of a what did we learn? What did we learn this week? We learned 3 things this week, at least.
Go ahead.
We learned it's a small duck.
It's a very small duck.
Monroe is a stalker. And Pat likes girls.
Yeah, that does sum up this episode.
Almost in haiku form. Next time, we start that trilogy of despair, as I've come to call it, with episode 309, A Thanksgiving Tale. Oh, that's a pleasant enough title.
Oh, yeah? Should be a good episode.
It is a good episode. I might say these next three are kind of dark. Doesn't mean I don't like them. Next time is actually one of the best ones of season 3 that I've watched so far. And while as we hit episode 50 of our Too Close for podcast last time, next week is the actual episode 50 of Too Close for Comfort.
Woo!